everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my finale for the 30 by 30 project pan. This is a usage-based project pan that I decided to do at the beginning of this year because I wanted to get 30 uses on 30 products from my makeup collection by my 30th birthday. I just kind of kept that 30 theme running through this project, and it was definitely a challenge. It definitely has been quite an adventure. I had never really focused on this many products in a consistent project pan in the past, but definitely learned a lot about my consumption. A lot of these products I've gotten to know in a different way than I had previously, and I realized that 30 uses actually takes quite a long time for myself. Just if you've not been watching this project pan yet in any capacity, I highly recommend that you check out the other videos in this series so you can kind of see my insights throughout the entire series. But I kicked it off with 10 products from that initial spreadsheet, and every single update, which I updated every other month, I would roll in an additional 5 products to ensure that these 30 focus products, no matter what, all got touched in some capacity. And yeah, it's definitely been an adventure. I still have 14 products here in front of me that I'm going to be sharing with you today, so that goes to show some of these have been in here for quite some time. So why don't we just hop on into it and start with the only product that still remains from the introduction of this project. So this product I've been working on since January, trying to reach 30 uses on it. It is my Colourpop Super Shock Shadow in the shade Telepathy. I already had pan on this previous to rolling it into this project pan, and I knew that I loved it. I definitely didn't think it was gonna take me until the finale of the project to reach my goal, but that is okay because previous to today's update, I had 22 uses on it, and since the last update, I have reached for it 8 additional times. Last weekend was the last time I reached for it. I haven't touched it in about a week, and so I've just finally reached the 30 uses on this, which I didn't think it was gonna take this long, like I said. However, I am happy I did actually focus on it in this project because I likely wouldn't have reached for it that many times this year. When I had to be very cognizant and very much aware of how much I was reaching for it, it did feel like it was quite a task to use this 30 times and to want to put it into 30 different eye looks. I don't really feel like I've expanded the pan, to be honest, throughout this entire project, but regardless, 30 uses on this. Finally, I met that goal, finally, and that feels really good. Nothing else has been in here since the introduction, but some of these other products have been in here for several months as well. Next up is the ABH Powder Bronzer in the shade Tawny. I've had this in this project for several months at this point, and honestly, again, this is one of those things I thought I would have used it the 30 times within the summer. However, it has lingered for a lot longer than I had anticipated. Previous to today's update, I had reached for it 19 times, and I did reach for an additional 11 times, so I did get that full 30 uses. I did not surpass that number with this product because as soon as I reached that final 11th use since my last update, I was ready to just put this away. This color is very rich, it's very deep for me, so it only really works for me in the summer, and with a very, very light hand, I have to be very particular with how I use this product. It's not one of those just slap it on kind of bronzers where I can just be kind of heavy-handed. But with those 30 uses, I did come to appreciate the tone because I don't have anything else that's quite like this in my collection. I really enjoyed using it on my legs in the summertime. I did that maybe just a handful of times. But I think it's a beautiful body kind of bronzer for me, so I know that's extra, but I am going to be holding on to it to kind of get use out of it that way next summer. Next up, we have my absolutely beloved Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. You know I adore this palette. I lusted after it for so long before I ended up adding it to my collection finally. I've now had it for just over a year, and I'm really happy I decided to use it in this project pan because I am doing my Pan Those eyeshadows. I've had other eyeshadows that I had to focus on not only in this project, but other projects as well. And it could have definitely been something that I overlooked this year. As much as I love having it in my collection, I could have just savored it and not wanted to use it while focusing on other shadows. It's a possibility. Of course, I don't know that for sure, but it could have been the case for me. So I decided to put it into this project. I'm so happy that I did. I had reached for it 20 times prior to today's update, and I'm happy to say that I've actually reached for an additional 15 times since my last update, so I've nearly doubled my uses. and that brings me to a total of 35 uses on this palette. So as you can see, it's looking very loved, definitely very used. I have really enjoyed reaching for this through this project pan. This is now rolled into my Pan Those eyeshadows, so I will be reaching for it a handful of more times before the end of this year as a dedicated focus product, but it's definitely something I'm going to be reaching for very consistently ongoing because this color story is just impeccable in my opinion. This next product is the Cover FX Shimmer Veil in the shade Celestial. This is a liquid eyeshadow that I've had in my collection for many years, and I've had in this project for many months. Previous to today's update, I only had 8 uses on it, and I had it in for a total of 2 updates by then, so I'd only used it 4 times per update, which is not good, not really what I had hoped and dreamed with this product. However, I have reached for it 9 times since my last update, so I was able to just surpass doubling my uses on it, so that feels like a success, even though that only brought me to a total of 17 uses on this product in this project pan. But the reason why I haven't been able to really enjoy using this is because the product is kind of out of the center here, so I've been able to pick up pretty much everything from the middle of the tube, as you can see here with the wand. So there's a little bit of product up at the top, a little bit of product down at the bottom, and so I've had to take out the stopper several times through this project in order to grab more product onto the wand or onto just a brush that I'll dip into here, and so it's just been tedious. So I'm just not super interested in reaching for it, even though it does have a beautiful shine and a lot of impact. It just isn't super user-friendly at this point. I just will scrape. I'm gonna scrape the sides of here, trying to get as much product as I can, and look at what comes out on the wand. Nothing. So I can use that, but it's not as just user-friendly and easy as it used to be in the past. So I have to figure out a way to get the rest of this product used up without having to consistently take out the stopper. Maybe I should put it into a smaller container, or I don't know. Do you have any recommendations on the best way to finish this off without it just being a nuisance? Let me know, because I really don't think it would take me that much longer to use it. If I had reached for it 30 times in this project, I may have been able to actually finish it off. I just didn't feel compelled to do so. So let me know if you have recommendations on that one. But yeah, I didn't reach my goal, but it still feels like a success to me because I reached for it 17 times that I may have not reached for it otherwise. This next item is a lipstick from e.l.f. I actually got this as a gift with purchase, so it was something that I had overlooked a lot in my collection. I just didn't really think of it or really give it a lot of value, to be entirely honest. It is the matte lipstick in the shade Praline. I think that's the line. I always forget what it's called. But it's in the shade Praline, which is a beautiful, warm brown kind of color. It's definitely a rosy kind of brown. It's super, super pretty, gorgeous for this time of year. I had reached for it 12 times in my last update, so that was pretty good. Definitely more than I had anticipated I would reach for it, quite honestly. And now I've reached for an additional 11 times, so I am shy of my goal, but I reached for it 23 total times through this year, and that feels really good. I have very much enjoyed reaching for it, and it's something that kind of surprised me. I didn't think I loved this color as much as I do, but I feel like it's a very flattering and very easy to wear kind of brown without feeling like a heavy or grungy kind of brown. It just is more of a natural brown shade in my opinion, and I've enjoyed it. 23 uses I feel like is great. Yes, it's not my goal, but I'm happy with that usage no matter what. The next product I have is a primer from Ole Henriksen. It is the Banana Bright Face Primer. I had rolled this into this project just a couple months ago, and I had this much product in here in the introduction, so I had just under half of the product remaining in here, and by my last update I had reached for it 16 times. That was the first update that I had it in, so I had reached for it until about this point. I had made pretty significant progress in that first 2-month period, and now I've reached for a total of 31 uses, so 15 additional uses, and I'm down to about here in this product now. Now, for most of these products, I wasn't really measuring the progress or taking measurements by any means, but with this one I was just curious to see because I felt like I already had really great progress on it, and I'm happy to say that I'm already all the way down to here. This is something that I could definitely finish off in early 2022 without too much effort or focus on it. Of course, I would like to cut into it. I like cutting into my products and using every last possible drop, so it might take more than 2 months time or like 15-20 uses. But this is something that I can definitely finish off in a relatively short amount of time, and that feels really good. I'm happy I made this much progress and I was able to focus on this so much. This was a very beautiful, rich formula that doesn't feel too heavy, but it feels very nourishing and very just like comfortable on the skin. I super enjoy this. I'm really happy I focused on it in this project and got to just love on it as much as I did over the past couple months. Next up is this duo right here. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow Duo. I have had this in one other project pan in the past, but in this project I wanted to focus on the sculpt side, which is the like contour bronzer kind of shade. And in this project, I actually was able to hit pan on it, which felt really good. So by my last update, I had reached for it 13 times and I had hit pan on it by my last update. And so I actually did reach for an additional 17 times since my last update, bringing me to a grand total of exactly 30 uses. I put this away the moment I hit that 30 uses. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna tuck this away for a short while. I don't love this duo. I don't love either of these products. I don't think they're bad products, and I enjoy when I reach for them. I think that they do the trick just fine, but I don't adore this product so much that I wanted to like surpass that goal. I am happy that I reached for it 30 times this year. It definitely is something that if I were to put it in a project pan in the future, it would be a long haul product for me. So I've kind of gotten to know that about it. I did enjoy using the Sculpt shade as a kind of transition shade for my eye looks very often, and as a bronzer on occasion, or even as a contour bronzer sort of situation. And I didn't really reach for the highlighter too much throughout this project, but I did reach for it on occasion, and I do think that these colors work well together on the eyes or on the face. So yeah, enjoyed reaching for it 30 times, or like I'm happy to have reached for it 30 times, that's for sure. But I'm happy also that I'm not focusing on it in the immediate future. It'll definitely make its way into a future project pan, but I'm going to be taking a break from it for a while. Next up, I have another Colourpop Super Shock Shadow. This is the shade La La. I've had this in my collection for many years, and I've had it in several project pans as well, but it's something that I do want to eventually finish up because I think it's such a beautiful color. It's like a coppery rose golden kind of shade. Previous to today's update, I had reached for it 9 times in this project. Now, as you can see, I obviously had a lot of pan and a lot of progress on it prior, but 9 times is what I reached for it in 2 months time, which I just felt was really disappointing when I was looking back on that. I was surprised because I adore this color so much. So I really tried to amp up my use over this past update. However, I reached for it a total of 17 times. So that is better. That's definitely an improvement, but I only was able to reach for it 26 times in this project pan. I'm pretty happy with that considering that I started at only 9 uses. But I thought this was something that I would easily like surpass 30 uses on, but 26 uses is pretty good. Really happy with that. And I know it's not going to take me too much longer when I do decide that I want to finish this off. It's not going to take me too much longer, that's for sure. It is starting to get a little bit more dry, a little bit more difficult to use. It's not as just effortless as it once was. And that's just because there's not a lot more product to hold onto it and to retain the moisture, but you can see it's such a beautiful metallic color. I do adore it. I do adore it so much. And so 26 uses is really good. I'm surprised I didn't reach for it more though. Next up is a liquid liner, and liquid liner is just like not my thing at all, and yet I have 3 in my collection, so I wanted to focus on one of them. This is the Colourpop BFF liquid liner in the shade Grande, which is like a chocolatey brown kind of color. And previous to today's update, I had reached for it 15 times. And in those first 15 uses, I had used it as a freckle pen a few times, I'd used it as a brow pen a few times, and as an eyeliner, but of course. However, in the past 2 months since my last update, I'd reached for an additional 15 times, bringing me to the total of 30 uses. but I used it exclusively as an eyeliner. I had no interest in reaching for it in any other way over this past 2 months. I didn't find myself feeling compelled to try it out in different ways. Like now that I've lost my tan, I just don't feel like this works as a freckle pen at all on my complexion. And I said in my last update, I tried it through my brows and I really did like it. I felt like it looked really good in person. But then there was like one time I tried it for a work day and I got on my webcam and I was like, I looked like I was all brows. Like there was no other feature on my face. I just felt like all I saw was brows. So I was like, never mind, I'm never gonna do that again because I just didn't want to risk being on a client call and just being like all bold brow. So it was strictly an eyeliner in those additional 15 uses. It's a little bit softer in comparison to a black eyeliner, and I felt like it was a little bit more flattering on me and a little bit more forgiving as well if the application was not like perfect or they weren't absolutely symmetrical wings. I have also said this, a few people were like, you don't have to do a wing if you're gonna wear a liquid liner. And no, you do not have to do a wing. Today I'm not wearing a wing, but I have a black liquid liner on. But I always feel like so unsure of how to just like end the line. That sounds so stupid. I'm sure a lot of you are like, what are you even talking about? But like sometimes when I just try to line only my top lashes, like the end of the line just looks so incomplete. Like it's just all of a sudden just like, duh, it's just done. It needs to have like a little precise wing, in my opinion, like for it to look right. I just feel like I don't have the swing of it, or I don't understand how to just terminate that line, and it's so silly, but that's the case. So I wore a lot of wings over the last while. I have tried it as just like a liner without a wing, and I just never feel like I get it. Like it just isn't right for me. But yes, that's it. That's all I have to say about it. I did reach my 30 uses on it and I'm happy about that. So the remaining 5 items I have outstanding are ones that I rolled in my last update. So they don't have any sort of previous use on them. So the first item I have here is the Colourpop Velvet Blur lipstick. This is in the shade Lucky Strike. This is a like soft berry kind of lipstick, and it has a really, again, like a soft matte kind of formula as well. Really nice, not super opaque or too thick or creamy on the lips. Definitely is more of like that soft matte kind of feeling. The Velvet name is actually a very good and apt name for it. And I hadn't reached for it at all in 2021 previous to today's update, so I was really happy that I decided to roll this in. This was one of those things where I initially did not have this in the spreadsheet, but last update I decided to switch something out for this instead, and I'm happy I did so. So I did not reach my goal by any means, even though I had 2 months to focus on it. I reached for it 12 times though, and yes, that's nowhere near 30 uses, but I'm happy with that. That's 12 times that I probably wouldn't have reached for it in 2021, and I did enjoy it. I'm happy that I gave it a chance. I did wear it as a blush with this as the lipstick as well, so I had like a monochromatic kind of face and lip look going on, and I really enjoyed it that way. I think it's a really beautiful formula to wear on the lips and cheeks, and it's not targeted that way, but I really did like it that way, and I wore it a few times. On the lips, I feel like I can only wear it with like cool toned looks, but I did have many cool toned eyeshadows in my pan, those eyeshadows as of recently, so I have been able to enjoy it and play with it as an alternative to other nudes in my collection. So that's been fun. Definitely a good challenge, I feel like, for me to reach for this. I also rolled in this Flower Beauty Blush Bombs last update. This is in the shade Nectar, which is a beautiful kind of yellowy, orangey, peachy kind of color. It's really nice. It's a definitely interesting kind of neutral in my opinion, and I think it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous blush. I do wish that I had it in this project for more of the summer months because I feel like this looks best with my more like tan complexion, but I did reach for it a handful of times in addition to other cream and powder blushes from my collection, and I got 22 uses out of it since the time, like since I rolled it in, which was just last update. So 22 uses is great. I'm really happy with that progress that I made over only 2 months. I did use this sometimes as a color corrector. I did say that when I rolled it in that I was going to try it out that way because Sarah Rose did a video talking about different ways to use your blushes if you're trying to get use out of them. and she had spoken about this as a color corrector for under the eyes, and I really did enjoy it actually. I'm wearing it today as a color corrector under my eyes, and I feel like it sets down really well and allows you to blend concealer over top of it very, very well. And given that this does have that peachy orange kind of tone to it, it cancels out the purpley blue color under my eyes pretty well. Not like entirely, but nothing does. So yeah, that was a really cool way to use this and ensure that I reached for it pretty frequently, because I didn't want to reach for it as a blush on an everyday basis by any means, but I was reaching for it very consistently through 22 uses, actually by multi-purposing it. And I really did like it both ways I used it, which is great. When I first was setting out to do this project pan, I put 4 highlighters from my collection into the spreadsheet, and lo and behold, last update, I rolled in 3 of those 4, and I was not like mentally or emotionally prepared for that. I did not see that coming whatsoever, and I'm the one that made the spreadsheet. I'm the one that's been updating the spreadsheet every update, and I did not anticipate that. Like, I had totally blindsided myself with that. So I rolled 3 highlighters into this project pan, so I had to distribute my energy between all 3. And that was a challenge, definitely. Like, to say the least, it was a challenge. So I did hit my goal on this one here. I reached for my Essence Pure Nude highlighter in the shade Be My Highlight actually 34 times. This is a great like multi-purpose kind of highlighter in my opinion. I was able to reach for it as a brow bone highlight, as kind of like a bronzer topper kind of, not entirely like a bronzer topper, but I would use it to kind of like soften and diffuse my cheek products. I could wear it actually as a dedicated highlight on my cheekbones as well. And because it's like a soft kind of highlight, I did prefer it over the other ones that I did roll into this project last update, because it just offers a sheen versus like a blingy, really concentrated highlight. So I did really enjoy reaching for it. It was really easy to reach for it 34 times. It still looks like I've hardly touched it, however, after those 34 uses, because this you really don't need a lot of product with, and it's baked, so these are just notoriously very slow moving products. But really happy I reached for it 34 times in this project, because I had not reached for it yet at all in 2021 previous to today's update, so I'm really happy about that. I had also rolled in another highlighter from my Makeup Geek and Kathleen Lights highlighter palette. I had been working on this shade previously, but then in my last update, I had rolled in the shade Starlight, which is the like pinky highlight shade. Now, I only reached for this 12 times through the last 2 months. I have come to realize that I enjoy both of the other colors in this palette. I really like this like more golden tone. I love this more bronzy tone, but this pink, there's something about it that just is not flattering or like suitable to my preferences. I just don't enjoy it. And in 12 uses, I definitely got to know that. I just haven't found a way that I feel like really happy to reach for it other than as an inner corner highlight. On my face, I find that it just looks too chalky. It is a cool toned pink versus I have other highlighters that are pinks, but they have more of like a rose gold kind of tone to them. So they have that warmth behind them that I find more flattering. But with this, I find it just very stark and very abrupt on my cheeks. And so I didn't feel inclined to reach for it. However, at least now I know that. I mean, at least now I know that, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with that knowledge that I have now, that's for sure, because there's so much highlighter in here. Perhaps this would be something in the future if I feel like making like a Franken blush or a Franken bronzer, which is just like combining different powder products from your collection together to make like a new product. That might be something that I would consider using this for. But to use it as it stands right now, as strictly as an inner corner highlight, that just is never going to make any kind of progress on it. But I'm glad to know now I don't enjoy it on my face. I do really like both of these products. However, I didn't focus on this one this year in this project, but I did use this as like a bronzer topper very consistently when I had this focused in this project. I loved it, but yeah, the pink, come to realize it's just not for me. And then the last highlighter I rolled in this project in the last update was trusty old Mary Lou. This is the Balm's Mary Luminizer. I've had this in my collection for eons. I actually think this may be the oldest product in my makeup collection now because, spoiler alert, I did finish my Milani Luminoso blush, which was my oldest product previously. So I think this is now the oldest product that I've had in my collection. And so I'm happy that I decided to focus on it. I kind of wish that I had rolled it in earlier in the year so that I could really focus on it and reach for it more, because I only reached for it 19 times since I rolled it in last update. So 19 uses I still feel happy with. Like, I already had pan on this. I had previously hit pan on it, then repressed it, and then I hit pan on it again. So it's not like I hit pan on it in this project, but 19 uses I still feel happy with. I wore this primarily as an inner corner highlight and brow bone highlight. I didn't often wear it on the cheeks just because it's not my preference anymore. This is very blingy. This is like one of those OG products that still is a really great product, I feel. Where did I just put that swatch? Right here? Why did I put a swatch there? But yeah, it can look just a little bit more glowy than I kind of want to go for these days. So I wore it very seldom on the cheeks, but it still is beautiful. So I am happy I reached for it 19 times. I kind of wish that I had dedicated a little bit more energy to it and reached for it 30 times, because that definitely could have been possible, but I just didn't do that for whatever reason. So it is what it is. 19 uses on this is pretty good. So seeing as today is the finale, I figured I would talk about some stats with you. So when I first set out to do this project, I wanted to reach a goal of 30 uses on 30 products for my collection. Unfortunately, as you saw today, there were some items that I did not reach that goal on, and that is 7 items that I was not able to reach 30 uses on. So 7 items out of the 30, that means I actually hit my goal on 23 items, 2 of which I did finish up prior to reaching for them 30 times, and they were both lip glosses. So, I mean, I technically hit my goal because I wasn't able to reach for them a full 30 times, but yeah, 23 of the 30 items, I feel like that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm happy that I was able to reach my goal on 7 items in today's update as well, to just kind of bring those to the finish line. I kind of wish that if I had done this project maybe differently, maybe I wouldn't have randomized what I was rolling into the project. Maybe it would have been a bit more strategic about what comes in when, but I like that randomized factor as well. You guys know that that is like one of my favorite things about my Roulette Pan collab and Pan Those Eyeshadows is the randomization. So I had to have that element of fun, and it was generally a very fun project pan. I will say I'm really happy I decided to do it. It was something that I kind of had been thinking about for a while, trying to figure out how to reach for several items for my collection but not overwhelm myself. And altogether, I'm very happy with this project and how much I was able to accomplish in this project pan. But I am also happy to be wrapping it up and allowing myself to reach for my collection a little bit more naturally and just kind of intuitively in how I feel like reaching for things, as opposed to having so many focus products in the next couple months as we reach the end of 2021. But I am definitely just talking absolute nonsense at this point, so we're gonna say goodbye. That is everything for today's video. I really appreciate you watching and hanging out with me. I truly do. Thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to spend it with me. It really is so much more appreciated than I think you may ever know, but I just wanted to say that here today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, honestly, truly. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.